Hello, hello. Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back to the podcast. Hope you guys are having a great month. So, we're getting closer to the middle of January, if you can believe it. So, make sure you guys are executing those 2026 goals. I don't really do the whole resolution thing because people fall off of that. And, if you don't have clear structure or a clear plan and like a couple things you're doing every day to make sure that you stay on top of that goal, and revisit and, check in with yourself. That's why people fall off the wagon. Like the whole new year, new me, people fall off of that wagon very, very quickly. So I devise like a plan, and every 90 days I have a different goal that I strive for the big goal that I set for the entire year. So very, very important. So lots of good things coming. Make sure you guys check out the previous episodes on the shift of this podcast and my brand and who I really make an impact and help as far as elevating your personal brand when it comes to women in business with personal brands, small businesses, so they can really make an impact, make a lot of fucking money in their brand by elevating their TikTok content. So that is the shift, the pivot that I've done in my business. And I'm super excited and passionate about it. And I do tell the story on how I got interested in this pivot. So make sure you check out the first and second episode. I believe it's the first episode of the year. So it's episode 52. So make sure you guys check that out, and it talks all about it. Okay. So make sure you also subscribe to the show because you'll get the latest and greatest when it comes to new episodes and new things that are coming. I'm also launching a new coaching program that is starting in the beginning of February, probably end of January, early February. So I will have a wait list. So everything will be linked in the show notes if that is something that interests you, if you'd like to work with me in elevating your TikTok content so that you can show up, bold, just powerful, and make the amount of money that you want, making sure that you're talking about all the right things in your content and making sure that your content comes from a healed, emotionally safe space and not letting your inner child ruin your brand. Okay. So make sure you also follow on TikTok. I drop some really good knowledge and I do some call outs and do some really good content on TikTok. So everything is linked in the show notes. So let's get into today's episode. Today's episode, we are talking about brand voice. Your brand voice isn't missing. That bitch is buried in you somewhere. Okay. We're going to be talking about a few pointers here. So we're going to talk about performance versus the truth. We're also going to talk about why trends feel wrong and how some trends just won't work for you. Okay, I'm not saying that all trends don't work because some do. And embodied expression. So your brand voice and your personal branding when it comes to your expression and being embodied in it. Okay. So the first thing I want to talk about is performance versus truth. Now, what I do see as far as people who have small businesses, they have personal brands, women that have, personal brands, small businesses. What I see is there's a difference between actually being truthful when it comes to your TikTok content versus a performance. I could tell the difference. Okay. I did it because, you want to follow what everybody else is doing and seeing if that resonates, if that works, because you don't have a clear roadmap and you're not honing in on what you truly value when it comes to your brand. Okay. So, and a lot of times people are not being very truthful either. So what we see a lot of performance. It's because you have to put on a show because you're letting the inner child run the fucking show, or because you're trying to be like everybody else on TikTok and on social media because you're thinking, oh, well, maybe this will help me elevate my brand. If this person can make millions of dollars in their brand, why can't I? You absolutely can, but you have to stand out as you in your personal brand. You can't be copying everybody else, okay? Because what may work for them may not work for you, and you have to set yourself apart, okay? So there's a lot of performance, doing the dances and the this and the that. Yeah, that might get you followers and, make you relatable, but do you want to be relatable or do you want to be paid? Because there's a difference, okay? So performing, and I'm not saying that trends do not work. They do. You put a trending audio on one of your videos. Yes, it could get you hundreds of thousands of views. Okay. But just because you become viral doesn't mean that you're going to make all this money. So you have to make sure that you know the difference. Okay. Now, a lot of people who perform, it's because they're trying to be relatable. They're trying to be liked. They're trying to get followers. They're trying to, copy other people and trying to be similar to their biggest influence, to the influencers of their liking. Listen, I am a small personal brand, okay, on both of my brands. And not once do I want to be a big influencer or want any influencers to quote unquote like me. I am my own person. I stand in my truth and I do what I love because I'm passionate about it. And that's what it's all about. Okay. So now let's talk about the truth. Are you being a honest person when you hit record? Are you being truthful? Are you being vulnerable? Are you being authentic? Because authenticity is something that people resonate with when it comes to having to solve pain points that people are looking for answers to. And your content has to be able to solve their problem. Especially when you have a personal brand, your brand has to solve a problem and have a mission to solve those problems and give people a solution. So authenticity, being a real person, being vulnerable, being raw, and just telling the damn truth resonates with me, and it should resonate with you. And that is what you should be talking about when it comes to your content. Okay. Now, why do trends feel wrong? Well, here's the simple answer. It's because everybody's fucking doing it. That's why. Okay. So some trends do feel wrong because when you see a trend, you're like, oh, let me hop on this. And then you're chasing all the trends because you're trying to get views and gain followers and thinking that money is going to come out of that. But nobody built a respectable brand by following every single trend that comes out on TikTok or every single trend that comes out on other social platforms. Okay. I could tell you every once in a while, I will put a trending sound to, or maybe I might do one of the trends that are out there. It's just to kind of, mesh up my content a little bit to try just a different strategy. Okay. And yeah, sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. It doesn't really matter. Okay. It should just mix up the content a little bit. Maybe I didn't have anything really to post. And so, yeah, I might just do that and post that. Okay. Which is not wrong to do. But when trends feel wrong, it's because you're constantly chasing them all the time. And you have to stay on top of that, which gets fucking exhausting. And guess what? You're going to burn out real fast and then you're going to leave your brand and then quit your business. Okay. And that's not what I want you to do. So you can participate in those trends. Do I recommend that that is everyday part of your content? Absolutely not. You can stick it in there and mix it up a little bit every once in a while. Doesn't hurt to do that because it could work to your advantage. But trends do feel wrong when people are constantly chasing them. And that is what all you're known for. It's just, oh, well, she does all these trends. No. You want to be known for the impact and the mission of your personal brand and your small business. That's what you want to be known for. You don't want to be known for the next TikTok dance or the next TikTok trend. Okay. Now, the last point that I'm going to discuss is your brand voice, your personal branding, and embodying that into your expression when you create content. Okay. Your brand voice and your personal branding sets the stage and is what your content is all about. Your inner child wounds, you have to deal with that and do the inner child work. That is a non-negotiable when it comes not only to your business, to your life, but also when you are executing any kind of content strategy on TikTok. Okay. You have to make sure that you don't let the inner child fucking run your brand or ruin your brand. Because if you're letting the people pleasing and the perfection and the overgiving and the rejection and the criticism and the neglect and the ghosting and the this, you are not building a brand from a safe place. You are building it out of fear because you think you have to do it and it's forced and you don't want to go back to a 9 to 5 because you feel you have to do this. But, X, Y, and Z on TikTok says you should do X, Y, and Z. And that's how you're going to make money when that strategy is fucking bullshit and doesn't work for you. Okay. Your brand voice comes from a healed place. It comes from a place of safety, of security, and emotional healing because that's how it resonates. That's how you're a real person and you can elevate that in your brand. Okay. And then you embody that shit. You own that shit and you go out there and you talk about it like you're talking to one person. And I tell you, it will elevate the masses and people will connect with you and they will resonate with you when it comes to that. Okay. The audio series is linked in the show notes. So it's a 3-part series where I talk about what to do when your inner child is ruining and running your fucking brand and how to stop that. Okay. So that is today's episode. So hopefully these points hit home. And if you want to go ahead and get on the wait list for my new coaching program that is dropping at the beginning of February, check out the show notes. Everything is linked in there. Also, follow on TikTok, subscribe to the show so you get all the latest and greatest and all my educational points and all the points that I talk about to elevate your brand through your TikTok content. So thank you so much for listening to this episode. I will chat with you guys in the next episode.